Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's NCLUG Tech Talk from NCDOT. Today's webinar is on guardrail and ORD modeling. So this is going to be a webinar presentation, so we're going to mute everybody, but at any time, if you have a question, you could just submit that in the chat box, and then as time allows at the end, we'll address questions. We will be recording this webinar and then sharing the link on our website after the event. We will offer PDH credits to those who registered for the webinar online, and they'll be sent out after sometime in the near future. But credit will not be given to those who just go and view the presentation. But with that, we thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our presenter today, Oak Tavanon from NCDOT. Thanks, Oak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're just going to talk about how guardrail and terminators are incorporated into the plan set and into the models in ORD. So just top off, we just had 1010 installed a few weeks ago, and just the new interface here. 1010, you notice, just has one desktop icon. With the addition of now, after you pick your workspace, your work set, and now you have the row option now. So your desktop icon is now replaced by the row selection here. So I'm gonna go in as the rowway users. That's a row here. And basically we are developing the 1010 workspace, finding less and less development in 10.9. So all the focus and concentration are getting up the 1010 up to speed with the new silver labeler and the item types features they added in 1010. So this is in 1010, corrected some of the mistakes earlier in 10.9 with the feature definitions. So basically here is, at the bridge. So you need to put guardrail and terminators at the beginning and the ending of the bridges here. Right now we don't have the structure anchor units yet, so we're still in development of the structure anchor units. We do have the TL2 and TL3s available. AT1s are and the CATs are still in the works. Okay, so basically I got a road, bridge, and a road here, and I'm trying to incorporate guardrail into my design and into my model here. So basically, let's start, on the trailing end here. To place guardrail, I'll just go to my geometry tab here, and any of the command and civil command work. That's the key, is picking your feature definition, which is right. So I usually like the single offset partial command here to place guardrail. In this case, I'm gonna do 0 offset from the paved shoulder line here. So the face of my guardrail is right on top of this paved shoulder line, is my intent here. I could key in the length here, but the key to everything is just picking the right feature definition. So right here, we can go into the linear feature definition under roadway and guardrail and barriers. You have selection of guardrail back left, guardrail back right, guardrail forward left, and forward right. And now it kind of makes sense after you do a couple of these why we name it this way. So for the first one I'm doing here is guardrail forward right. So what I'm trying to do here is draw my guardrail in my 2D plan here, and from left to right. So that's why it's forward. Uh, it's kind of drawing it forward this way. Okay. So, here is, I want to see zero offset from my paved shoulder line. My next click is where did I start? So I snap right to the end of the bridge here. And then, so you notice these dotted red line here. So these dotted red line are actually, before I even place this, let me just show you in the cross section what these are flagging you. So in ORD, we place red flags and yellow flags along the side slope here, signifying there's a guardrail warrant based on your slope and fill height warrant there. So we flag the side slope, and that's where the dashed line comes in. Telling you, you may, this area probably warrants guardrail here. Of course, the beginning and in your bridge, you do your length of knee calculations. This is just for fill height warrant guardrail. Okay. So we know based on these red dashed line, which is a construction class element, which will never be plotted out here or here, but it's always there. If somebody look in the CAD files, some of my guys review the plans and says, look at the cross sections sheets. These flags will always be there. Just saying, um, it's warrants a guardrail. Whether the engineer choose to put guardrail in there or not, that's his choice. But the flag will always be there, but it won't be printed out because it's a construction class element. Okay. So based on these red line, I know where my guardrail warrants needs to be. And you can see traces of dashes in here. Sometimes it's consistent, sometimes not, but it's based on the some kind of formula here that calculates, whether you have 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 slopes, in between variable slopes, how much fill height warrants guardrail. But these red line are not literally, you need to put it exactly here and there, but just telling you these areas here you may want to consider putting guardrail in. So here I'm gonna do my guardrail, and it looks like it goes all the way to about right here. Okay, warrants it right. So I'm gonna use my my single offset partial command here and picking the right feature definition here. And I want to be based off this paved shoulder line. Start from the end of my bridge here and go to where my last known looks like it's about here, and it says 400 something. So I'm gonna make that 425 feet. Remember the guardrail's like 12 and a half feet increments. So I say 425 is probably good. Here, all right. So, okay. So I I do this every time, and why did this not show up on my model, 3D model, and my cross section here? Well, this works, but it places the guardrail at elevation 0. Okay, so I'm gonna undo this. Make sure you have this guy check on in your feature definition toolbox. Create 3D automatic. Okay, so once I make sure that's enabled there, do the same command here, and now you'll see, voila. So yes, the first time I did it, I didn't have this command on, so just snap that on, and it will paste your guardrail. You get the guardrail automatically here, and your cross section has been updated. You just got to go to the next station to refresh it, and it shows the guardrail there. Okay, same thing here. On the left side, I'll just change this to guardrail forward left, and not really concerned about the length right now. Draw that. Say, what's that? That's about 600. About 600. You know, you can do your length of need calculations, and you get exact 2.5 foot increment. Just for this demo, I'm just gonna put, a number in. Um, so again, refresh this and look at your models here. Because I only do this once in my 2D view here and I get the 3D stuff and the cross section stuff free. Okay, so I don't need to do any more work in this view or that view. I just do it all in this view, in the 2D plan view. Right. Let's do the approach here. I'll do guardrail back right on the right side here. Okay. Same thing here. I want to put the guardrail right at the face here, but then go back this way. Say it's about 75. Feet and go left here. Say 100 foot here. Okay. Another thing about these guardrail, they're, I place them through the silver geometry command here. So if I need to, I can edit this length here, 75, or I want to make that 100, which, it's a silver geometry element. So I'm, 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 I can change this length anytime. That, you know, these. So it's very, very easy to edit. Okay. Okay, so once you have this, you notice we just put Gara in here. We didn't uh, worry about the 3 foot behind the face of Gara here for your shoulder. This dash green line here, that's your shoulder point. Okay. And by the way, all this is drawn by your template. So I didn't draw any of these DSN elements here. In the ORD templates here, your DSN elements like your edge of travelway, your patio line, all of that is drawn by your template. So I didn't have to do any extra copy parallel command or any of that stuff. Um, so another thing that I really like is just use the handler here. Just click on the tick mark of your corridor here. The handler comes up and you can drag that to view the cross section, any cross section you want here. You know, I find it myself clicking on this several times, and sometimes this hangs up the machine. So I get too click happy. But I find out a great place of fast navigation across sections. Just drag this handle to anywhere you want to see cross section. Okay. All right. So now that we have it in here, a lot of, I show you one way to place the guardrail, and some of the guys that did the training manual actually prefer to do it offset from your center line. Uh, that's because of sometimes um, when you use like the paved shoulder line that's drawn by your corridor as the reference point or a reference element for your guardrail, and you want to move this shoulder point out 3 foot from this face here, you can't because it's recursive. Uh, this depends on that uh, and so forth. But if you offset it from the center line, which is not part of your corridor, it's just your alignment here, you can actually, offset. It's not recursive in that way. So, you could do it either way, but I like to use this here. And if you do it here, um, to make this uh, shoulder point uh, 3 foot from the face of guardrail, there's a couple ways. One way is to use your pyramid constraints. So you notice here, let me go to this section here. So this section here, I'll put a temporary dimension here. So it's 2 feet of uh, grass shoulder here. That's 4 feet of paved shoulder, 2 feet. So that's 6 foot total. Um, so knowing that, I can go to my corridor object here, or the bucket here, add a pyramid constraint here. And you can do it, get into in, and I would choose shoulder outside with normal. So 6 foot, 4 plus 2 is 6. So we need to actually make it 7 foot to make that a 3 foot. Uh, so now you can see, now that's 3 foot there. So you can do that. Again, that that is one method. I did it for the entire corridor, but you don't really need to. You just know where the guardrails are. Um, Another thing you can do here, let me get rid of this. So take away this pyramid constraint again, and you can target. So based on our template here, I think I used this. ITO there. So based on this template, how do I know what the target feature that um, that's this shoulder point used to, to target the feature definition that needs to target? So I can look at that point and say I'm constrained to that point by this construction class element target grass shoulder. In the future, I might just specify right or left there to make it easier. It's 15 feet. I just need to put 0 there. But okay, so that is the feature definition that I need to draw in here to make this move to that point in my design file. Okay. So remember I said this is recursive. If you use any of this here, you can't really use it again to say move that shoulder point to this line because it's recursive off this paved shoulder line or this guardrail line. So I think what you still can do is the same command here under geometry, taper single offset partial here. And let's say 3-foot offset from my paved shoulder line. And I want to choose that feature definition under construction class element. And it's, remember, it was this guy right here, right? Target grass shoulder. So I still can use this silver geometry command. It says, well, I want to use this 3-foot from it. So I want to say from here to here, move this green line to this line. Okay, that's my objective here. But remember, it says, well, let me show you if you don't do, if this is still ruled, this line is still ruled to that line, which is recursive if you're trying to move this line to it. Okay, so let's try to see, point that out. So under corridor here, I'm gonna go add reference, add corridor reference here. And it says locate your corridor. Just tick mark here, my corridor, and then locate the reference element. So this is the element I want to add to that corridor. And see, it does nothing. Sometimes if it says it's recursive, sometimes it just says nothing. You can even try point control. It does the same thing. So the problem is, remember I said this is recursive. So to, fix that, we can go into the properties here and say remove ruled. So this is just a dummy, I wouldn't say dummy, but it's a linear element. That's just like a microstation line that just happens to have a feature definition of CCE target grass shoulder here. Okay. So now this line is not ruled to any of these corridor lines here. I'll apply the same corridor reference here. Identify the corridor, identify this line, set to complete. See how the grass shoulder now moves, but somehow my, there it goes, just need to refresh. See, now you can see the grass shoulder, the dashed green line moved to my construction class element here that I drew in here. So, there's a couple of ways to do this, make your 3-foot behind the face of guardrail the way that you need to. Okay. So pyramid constraint is one of them. The other one is draw your line and unrule it, or just draw some line out here. By unruling it, any changes that happen to your alignment, this doesn't change because you unruled it. That's why some of the guys says I'd rather do it off my center line. That way, if my center line change, you know, this will also change location wise with it. But most of the time, my guardrail, are based off my paved shoulder line because we want the face of guardrail right at the paved shoulder line. But that's your option, however you want to do it. Okay, so that's how in VA we like that idea of if it warrants guardrail, automatic kicks the shoulder out 3 foot, put guardrail in there. But some of our guys felt like we need to give control to the engineers to let him decide, if he wants to put guardrail or not. Don't automatically do it for me. So that's why we came up with the system of flagging you first, the area that you need guardrail, and then you put in the guardrail, and then uh, uh, widen the shoulder as needed. Right? And the terminators. So the terminators are similar, very easy. Say here, go to my geometry, and this command here, I like to use the ratio offset taper here. So on this side here, say I want to put a TL3 terminator here. I will use TL3 approach right here and specify length 50 foot here and a taper rate. Okay. So same thing here. I reference my my paved shoulder line here. Put it here at the end of this guardrail piece, and then flip it here. Okay. Same thing. Very easy to do. On this line, let's make that 25 foot TL2. And the taper rate is, is optional. I mean, 25-to-1 is pretty standard. You can, in a curve, you probably don't need a taper, but that's up to you as an engineer. So this is a TL2 approach left. 50 foot here. And notice here, you can look at graphically and says, well, that's I want to go this way. That's where you change this sign here from negative to positive. Okay. So just changing the negative to positive on your ratio will deflect or reflect the angle there. Okay. So TL2 and TL3 in here. Remember, all these guardrail terminator are just custom line styles, and they show up in your 3D model. It's a straight piece, so all anchors a straight tangent piece. Here again, you can do your 3 foot from your face of guardrail or face of terminator here to widen that shoulder out. Oh, per standard, you know, you can look at the drawing standard, how the taper rate and all that stuff that you need here. So remember, all this is just line style or custom line style. So if you turn off that, that's what it looks like. It's just a line. This line, that line, all that is just a line element here. It just happens to be custom line style that appears to have a shape, an area of volume to it. Okay. So now I think we started working on the labeler. Now that you have this on and you modify your grass shoulder slope, in 1010 we have a civil labeler here. So and we use I created a couple of these this morning. TO2 place. You can place tangent with there. I'm not sure what I did with that. So those are the type of things we can do with the civil labeler. There's more labelers that we're going to add pretty soon to this. But that's some of the stuff for Guardrail here. So future plans, what's next for Guardrail is adding these as item types to the feature definition library. So we can compute them, we can do cost estimate on them, we can do station offset, do Guardrail summary with them. So basically that's the spill on the Guardrail that I have for today. I think we're good. Yeah, 10:34. Any questions that might have came up?
Yeah, hey, I'm sure that there's going to be more
Okay.
questions coming. So if anybody has a question, they can type it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I can call on you. So I think one of the first questions is the red flags that are showing in view 7. Are those stored in the template, or do they go away, or can you manipulate those, or is any need?
Yeah. So they are initiated by the template. There's a really small dashed line that indicates the warrant here. It's like a little dot here. When that is turned on, it turns on this flag here.
Okay.
The flag was supposed to be permanent, but not printed. It's just alerting our reviewer to says, yeah, this area warrants guardrail. Whether the engineer decides to put guardrail or not in there, it's up to them.
Okay. There was one about widening behind the guardrail, but I think you answered that. Is there a default on this? Is there a 2 foot?
What's that?
I'm not sure. That was probably asked during when you were doing something. It's probably for the paved shoulder or the widening part. If Steve wants to clarify that, you can unmute yourself, Steve, if you want to clarify that
Yeah.
question.
What's the template default? 2 or 3?
2.
Why?
Just for this demo.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just for this demo, I wanted to to show how you can change it if it's different. So yeah, right there. But yeah, you're right. Under normal circumstances, this will be 7. So that's 3 foot there. All right.
So somebody asked, if you place guardrail at an offset from the EOP, where does the elevation of the resulting 3D line in the guardrail
Yes.
come from?
Glad that's asked. The elevation comes directly from your pay shoulder line. Remember these. This is a 3D line because it's drawn in your template.
Right, I understand from the 3D line because you used a 0 offset. What if you didn't use a 0 offset? What if you set that at when you did the single offset partial, you used an offset value? Where then would the elevation come from? Is it going to read the corridor mesh? Is that where it's getting the elevation from?
Oh no. It's still getting the elevation from whatever reference.
Okay.
So it's still referenced to and you can see, you can do a properties on here. It tells you the elevation here. Just because I said I'm it's a small elevation, but it's somewhere in here in your properties. It's based off this a line. You could do offset 25 feet here. Actually, let's do that. We can see that, say, put out here. See, it's still, that elevation is projected across here. Same elevation. So yeah, your elevation is based off the reference line that you choose because of this guy here.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right. Someone asked, are there future plans for a template to automatically add the 3 foot of shoulder if guardrail is chosen to be in the design? Having it.
Yeah, there's what we really want to do is soon as you draw this guardrail line here, we process the corridor, and the corridor already knows it needs to be 3 foot. This shoulder point needs to be 3 foot from that here. So that is something, that's not there here today, but that's what the idea of what we want in the future is. Because this thing, like I said, this corridor, I still don't understand the why is this, you know, this recursive thing? Because this point, this line has no bearing on, you know, y- on this line, you know. Why can't I just pick up? I mean, I could do, if I could do this with pyramid constraint, why can't I do with point controls or the target? That's my only, you know, problem with it. But if ideally what we really want to do is, soon as the user draws in the guardrail line here, reprocess the corridor and let this guy update it accordingly. Say, if you see guardrail, you widen this 3 foot.
So right now, that guardrail, it's linked to that paved shoulder. So if you widen that paved shoulder, the guardrail goes with it.
Yes, yes, that's true. Yeah. So if you do anything to the shoulder line here, we can do that with pyramid constraint.
But if you had used the center line, it wouldn't.
That's right, because
Okay.
the center line didn't move. So I wouldn't suspect it would move. But say I added a new, you know, pyramid constraint from here to here. I'd rather do it with the number. Say paved shoulder width. Change that to say 2 or 3. See how my guardrail move with it. So there's pros and cons of using the paved shoulder line.
And I
Sure.
assume that we'll have barrier and all that kind of stuff too, and the different types of guardrail, double face guardrail, and some things of that nature.
Yeah, yeah. We're missing some structure anchor units, B77. The AT ones, CATs are still used. I thought we had that, but I got to go through my emails again. I thought Mike Kelly created some AT1s for us before he left. But we'll need to incorporate those M350s, or not 350s, MTL2, whatever they call them now. Attenuators, median attenuators. We don't have that yet, so we got to find. We have the 2D cells. We don't have the 3D cells to make those yet.
So does it, like if you want to flare that out, sometimes you have to flare it out to get to like an 8-foot offset at a 50-to-1 taper. You would just handle all that with the shoulder, and the guardrail's just going to follow it.
Yeah, I would do my paved shoulder line accordingly.
Yeah, and so that might be, I guess when you originally draw this, you might draw it in at 4-foot shoulders, and then you might have to wind up modifying that. Usually you modify it once you start setting the guardrail.
Yeah.
But you technically would be doing that by redrawing your paved shoulder line.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's basically you
Yeah.
probably need to do that anyway.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
probably
because
need
it's
to,
going to be paved to the guardrail. So
right. Yeah, it takes a little bit of planning ahead compared to our V8 workflow.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions to come once people get in there and start messing with it, I guess.
Yeah, and
You know,
the
first time
cross-section
people
sheet,
seeing it, they got to see this, and then I'm sure you get in there and start messing with it, there are going to be a slew of questions. But
yeah, the cross-section sheet show exactly what's shown in your cross-section view there uh, with the labels and everything else.
so now, as far as like modifying the slope behind the guardrail, you would do that in another step. You know, like if you wanted 2-to-1 slopes behind in the
Yeah,
guardrail
yeah,
location,
you would
you're
need
just
to
gonna.
do that in the template in the CMD file. So, modify your corridor accordingly. Notice too, we got season F automatically now.
But it doesn't lock it to your guardrail. So if you extend your guardrail, it's automatically going to extend those slopes or flatten those, steepen those slopes.
Yeah, you pretty much tell them the range of what,
Yeah.
where you want to change the slope.
How did you access the cross-section tool you're showing?
It's view control. I really need to do a tech talk on view control because view control has a lot of options. I really like this one here. This is the 3 views, plan cross section in 3D, which is this here. So, you can start out with one view, which is just the default plan view here. And you can do 2 view, plan view in 3D, or, plan view cross section, plan view profile. Let's do plan view profile here. So, and then, just hold your right mouse button so you get view control, and then view control is then available to here. The 3D one that I like is the plan cross section 3D here. And when you get that, it's going to first select OK. You want to create a dynamic cross section view. And then it tells you locate a corridor alignment. So the corridor is just tick mark. And then it tells you which select a view to put it in. I want to put it in this view here. And that's basically it. So yeah, I find myself doing a lot of this. You can't do it manually. You can go in here and select, which view you want to open and, and so forth. But I find that's very, very time consuming to do. I just right mouse click and choose the view I want. So it's pretty neat thing that it's delivered with Bentley Workspace. We just copied it.
And you didn't, I don't know if you mentioned about, I guess, quantifying the guardrail. Would you be able to
Yeah.
run a report and stuff on that?
Yeah, we want to use item type for that with pay item numbers and create the Guardrail summary table, station offset, and so forth in the power of item types and microstation tables. That's next. That's coming very soon.
And because those like TL2s and TL3s are lines, it'll be able to pick those up.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Compared to the cells
Yeah.
we used to have them, yeah, it's a much better workflow, I think.
All right. Does anybody else have other questions? Looks really good. You know, the 3D.
Yeah, I like the 3D view compared to V8, where all this was all solid. The
Mhm.
posts and everything else is all one big monolithic guardrail piece. And thanks to Gray, we simplified this. This used to have a lot of nuts. I mean, very much detailed bolts and everything else. He just took all that off and just made simple shapes and you know uh, solids with them.
And did you say, is there a manual? Are y'all coming out with some classes, or do you have those posted?
On guardrail placement.
Yeah, I guess, don't y'all have some training modules?
Yeah, so there's a couple of training modules that goes into the placement guardrail. I think the intermediate corridor modeling and plan view and plan geometry. I forget. I can look back now what module that is. So I think under plan geometry and under intermediate corridor modeling, they go into a little bit of detail on how guardrail place.
All right, well, we appreciate it.
Okay.
I know we got another session with you coming up.
Yeah.
I don't remember the topic off the top of my head, what you're doing next. But I do know that we have drainage, ORD drainage, I think on the 26th.
Your Bill's doing that.
Yeah, Bill Elam
Okay.
will be doing that. And then
Good.
I guess we have another one with you on October 20th on alignments and annotation.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Got a lot of questions on the annotations, alignments and stuff.
So we're looking forward to that. Appreciate you taking your time out and going through some of this. So, oh, let's see. Somebody asked another question. Are guardrail anchors able to be modeled? Anchors. I guess you're talking about on the bridge. I guess overlapping. Ian, is that what you're referring to?
The structure anchors.
Yeah, I was talking about like type 3.
Yeah, we can do that. I've seen it done, but we just don't have it. What we do is copy the cell, the 3D cell from Bentley Delivery Workspace and make that 3D line strings. So once Bentley or someone comes up with a cell of that structure anchor, we can turn that into a 3D custom line style.
Okay, it used to be in old modeling, you used to have to maybe sometimes offset that guardrail like 0.01, for it to do it correctly, but I guess that's not an issue with ORD. It can be exactly at 0 on the paved shoulder.
Yeah, I did that because, you know, when you print it out, you you know, the guardrail face or guardrail and the page shoulder line is one thing. It's just one black line. So I kind of try to make it a little bit thicker and offset it, just 0.01 foot of it. But I was told by my boss that's not accurate. So it's just so what I did was change the priority. I made the pave shoulder line 0 and the priority of the guardrail line 100. So when I
It'll
do
show up on
this,
top.
yeah, when I do this, the orange show up top of the blue. But you still, when you print it out, just one line, that you see one black line.
And again, I take it that this guardrail's annotated, like scaled. So if this is 50 scale, it draws it. And if you go to a different scale,
The
automatically.
anchors are not, but the guardrail themselves are. Say let's test that out, because I'm curious, and maybe it's doing what I shouldn't be doing. But say this is 100 scale or 20 scale. See how that changed, but not
Uh-huh.
because that's physical. We put physical settings. It's always going to be 50 foot or whatever, this size, no matter what it is. But your guardrail themselves, you know, it's depending on the annotation scale. So are the labels.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we are moving a lot of this stuff towards annotation scale. You know, what's physical, what's not. And we'll get into annotation scales and detail scales and drawing scales in the annotation.
The 20th.
Yep.
That registration, I think, is open, but the invite might not go out till tomorrow or something. Usually about 2 weeks before. But you're welcome to go to the NCLUG website and pick it, and you should be able to register for it.
Cool.
Any final questions before we close this session? Now's your chance. Well, we appreciate taking the time, Oak, and to be with us, and look forward to your next session.
All right. Thanks. Thanks
Thanks
everybody.
for joining us.